So we now have on one of the top American racquetball players, Bobby Horn. Bobby, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad we could make
Finally.
this happen. I know we've probably for about 2 years been talking like, oh yeah, let's do a podcast interview, and it just has never actually happened, and that's totally my fault, but now it's happening.
A little bit of both, I think. I think we just didn't link up at the right time. Mostly
Yeah.
my fault, actually.
Okay, well, I'm glad you're taking the
Is what it
blame,
is.
but anyway.
Yeah,
I blame
you
Bobby.
can't do wrong.
I definitely blame Bobby.
You know, we'll blame Tim.
Oh, yeah, there
Yeah.
we go.
Okay. So, Bobby, I know that you started a little bit late when it came to racquetball. You didn't start. I started at age 6. I think Charlie, you're about the same. Maybe Tim, similar boat. You started a little bit later. Is that true?
Yeah, I started when I was about 15. Maybe right before I turned 15, I just was at the gym and met Jose Diaz. I kind of knew Jose Diaz beforehand, and he used to come play basketball. He was too short to play with the adults, so I'd try to shoot around with him. And he's like, hey, just come check us out. Smack the ball around a couple of times, and kind of just did it for fun until I got out of high school.
Were you really motivated, like when you got, because you knew Jose, right? So was it like, did this kid beat you? And that you're like, oh, hell no. And then you wanted to get good?
No, not really. I just kind of played for fun. Like I said, I knew Jose. I knew Rojas, Jose Rojas as well. Just from being around the club so much, I lived in the basketball gym for probably from 12 to 15. I literally lived inside of the gym, either outside running or playing basketball. So, but playing racquetball in high school was literally on my downtime to kill time while there were Zumba or dance classes going on in the basketball court. So it was just kind of like I did it for fun. It wasn't anything. Kind of weird now to say that, but it meant absolutely nothing to me at that time.
Yeah. What kind of was the turning point for you then to go from age 15, had never played, wasn't really that into it, and then going to being one of the top pro players?
Well, I think one thing that worked out well for me is even though I did play for fun, Jody Nance was the coach. And if you don't know who Jody is, she was one of the junior coaches in Stockton early on before Dave and John really took a bigger role in that sense. So I used to go train with her, Jose Rojas, Marky Rojas, Jose Serrano, and Jose Diaz, who were all world champions and competitors at that moment. So I got some time to learn and kind of watch them and kind of get decent. I was like an A player all the way in through high school. And I think that kind of helped me get a kickstart on how to play correctly. But the real turning point was after I finished playing soccer in college, and I started training with Ellie.
Yeah. And what motivated you at that point?
Honestly, I was going to school at Delta College, the junior college in Stockton, and I was playing soccer for him. And my goal was to go transfer and play soccer somewhere else. That wasn't going to happen out of that college, and I wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would. So I got a job working with disabled adults, and I quit the soccer team and kind of just quit school, to be honest, too. And Ellie's like, well, you're not doing anything. Why don't you just come train with me? And he was in his last year, I believe, of on tour. And I was like, okay, I'll come hit with you. And he kicked the shit out of me for about 6 months straight. Like, I mean, donuts. And it was bad. So that kind of like just my competitive juices to play with him, and the fact that he would let me train with him was kind of cool. And that kind of motivated me to get better. And after maybe like 6 to 8 months, Ellie looks at me, he's like, yeah, you're going to be really good. You're probably going to play pros at some point. And I was like, no, whatever. I'm just playing just to play and compete and work out and hang out with my friends. And yeah, big mistake that I'm even in this position. Kind of cool, but who knows where the world takes you sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, just about anybody would look at your game and say that you're one of the more fit players on tour. That's kind of the hallmark of your game, is just being, an absolute ball getter and lasting all day and being one of the quickest players out there. What gave you that ability?
I think playing soccer and basketball in high school gave me that ability. I think obviously genetics and some natural abilities just I was born with. I've always been fast for as long as I can remember. But I think soccer and basketball really kind of dialed that in. I was in very, very good shape to start off with, which translates well to racquetball. yeah, and I think some of the work I put in early on with Ellie is I give a lot of credit to him and Jesse Cerna, who was his trainer at that time, and kind of dialing my athleticism in and kind of taking a raw athlete and actually making me an athlete, which I've developed over 10 years now. I don't know how long it's been.
Do you think because maybe you started a little later that you didn't burn out, say like maybe some of your friends did? And right, because when I look at like just looking at like the scene from NorCal, it's like you're kind of the guy that's still playing. I know Jose
Yeah.
Diaz plays some, but why do you think you're still playing?
Honestly, I burned out a bunch of times in this span of playing, so I can't even imagine how those guys feel. I'm just playing because I enjoy playing. Like, I mean, we all know that we don't make a killing playing this sport. So if you're playing it for money, if you're in this sport to make money at the moment, then you're not playing it for the right reasons. Most of us are playing for the love of the game. But you know, I think a big reason why I'm still playing is that I have a good team around me. I'm in a good position at home to where I can work and still train and make money and be able to survive at home. And that's a big part of it. Actually, this past summer, I thought about retiring. So it's kind of one of those things, like I'm motivated to keep playing, but I'm also not that far away from being where my friends are, if that makes sense. So it's a trip. It's a weird place to be in, but I'm kind of getting that itch to play again right now. And I've got work dialed in here at home. So I don't think I'm going anywhere anytime soon.
Bob,
Yeah.
I think every player probably, I don't know, maybe not every player, but I guess as you get closer to 30, I'm sure many times, even in a single year, will somebody think about maybe I should retire and things like that. Because, yeah, the money's not great, but it's like we always just end up coming back, though, you know? I mean, I've probably thought about retiring like 20 times, but it doesn't last more than a few days. And, yeah, it's really just about getting out there and competing, you know, and having some fun. And it's it's a really fun sport to play at a high level, you know. That's why I still train, is because it's fun to be at a really high level in racquetball. Like, the game is a lot of fun when you're up there. So
100%.
You know,
I think a big reason go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just saying a big reason for that that I've kind of felt that way is not just because of the financial situation, but a lot of my injuries the last year and a half have kind of put a wrench in my kind of what I've wanted to do. I felt like I was playing good ball, had a couple weird injuries, couple really freak injuries that kind of set me back a little bit, and I'm still kind of battling with that, and that's kind of mentally tough. I know a couple pros. I know I've talked to like Alvaro when he was having some back issues, and a couple other guys like Rock had some knee issues, I believe, and they were kind of just telling me like, don't worry, it all passes. So I'm kind of trying to take that mentality and get through it all and get back on the court. I think all my best balls are still ahead of me.
What have you been what have you been up to? Like, since obviously you're going to rehab your injuries, you're probably still playing a little bit of racquetball, but like, you know, an athlete having an injury is kind of an interesting thing because there's like time to focus on some other stuff in life. So what kind of things have you been focusing on outside of racquetball?
I'm personal training at my gym, so that was a big thing I'm doing, which kind of takes my mind off of the actual like racquetball part, which is good and bad because I'm not completely consumed by racquetball, which I have in the past, and tend to overtrain that way. But you know, it's one of those things that if I'm not training, that's where the injuries come. So some people have a misconception of the fact that they see me training a lot, and I share a lot of my stuff online, that I train too much, and that's the reason I'm getting hurt. Most of my injuries came about because I wasn't training enough before the event. So working or missing time because I don't have enough recovery time between tournaments, or I take a break and I can't get my workouts in, or tweak an ankle. I probably had 10 injuries or been hurt 10 times. So that doing that kind of stuff really kind of sets you back. And when I'm not training, when I come back and go to play like full on, stupid things happen because I'm not in tip top shape. So my main focus right now is get my body right. Because if I don't get my body right and I can't play healthy, I'm done playing. So
Yeah, and you mentioned putting out those fitness videos. I think people have seen a lot of that from you if they're, big into racquetball. What is your current training routine or regimen look like?
It changes. I have, as far as like my training regimen right now, it's a lot of weight training and myofascial release or rolling out, as most people would know. So I'm lifting weights probably 3 to 4 days a week. Real basic program. I've been doing a lot of stuff with kettlebells because it's very safe, super low impact, and it's got me feeling a lot better. So, and then obviously the maintenance part of, as all of you know, since you all play, if you're not maintaining that body and putting that maintenance into your body, you'll break down eventually. Not stretching, rolling out, hydrating, eating right. It's quite a process.
So as a lot of people watching this probably could figure out, we're still in the midst of COVID, and this has all been pretty crazy. I don't know what day we're on, but it's been
Looks
at
like
least
you're living in a bunker, dude. Like, what's behind you right now?
me.
Yeah, dude.
I'm in my
bomb shelter. No, I'm talking to Charlie, dude. Like, he's like,
Yeah,
yo,
I'm
okay.
in
a dungeon.
I'm in the garage.
It's 2020, Charlie. Just letting you know the year out here, man.
I am in the man. I'm in the man cave. I've been kicked out of the living room. I did our last podcast in the living room. I've been kicked out, downgraded.
Anyways, you're saying, so in the midst of the pandemic.
COVID.
Yeah, Bobby, what have you been up to with some of that? I mean, it's a little crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really weird for me, like really, really weird, because I probably wake up in the morning 7 a.m., get to the gym by 8:30 or 9, and I don't leave the gym until 8:30 or 9 now that I work there and I'm training people on a regular basis. So for me to have to stay in home, like in my house, in my room, it's wild. And in California, we're getting hit pretty hard with it. So on the whole West Coast, actually, but California is pretty bad. I'm in the Bay Area, for those who don't know, and basically they have us on complete lockdown. So all I've been doing, eating, sleeping, eating some more. I'll work out and stretch in the morning, either or, have lunch, maybe take a nap, and then I'll either work out or stretch depending on what I didn't do in the morning, eat some more, hang out, watch a lot of Netflix, and yeah. And so that's been kind of the main thing I've been doing. I just started personal training online recently, so I've been doing that as well. It's been kind of keeping me busy and building a business on that, so I can have some work when I'm not at work. So kind of cool little niche to get into there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where can people find that if they want to find your business?
So to just contact me for the personal training. I don't have a site for my personal training. I do have a website that you can contact me on, and that's bobbyhornrball.com. And you can just shoot me an email directly through there, or just go to my Instagram or Facebook and shoot me a message, and I'll give you guys the details on that. It's basically doing 4-week programs for people in monthly service. So
yeah, sounds great. And you've been watching Netflix during the thing. What's a Netflix recommendation for the people?
Oh, which one? I've watched like 6 shows since this thing started.
What's the best?
My favorite one that I watched, God, it's going to be so bad to say, but the damn Tiger King show, if you haven't seen it, you have to watch it. It's unique, that's for sure. And then the other one I started watching was Black Lightning. I just started Black Lightning. It's pretty good. A lot like Luke Cage, superhero show, and I'm enjoying it. It's cool. I like it a lot. Oh, and
Gotcha.
Hunters. Hunters is the other one I binge watched in like one day on Prime. If you haven't watched Hunters, that one's crazy. Have any of you guys seen that?
Yeah, I've seen commercials for it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Love it.
Different kind of show for sure.
So you mentioned being in the Bay Area, you played, I know, with a lot of the Stockton guys, and for those who don't know, there are a ton of professional racquetball players from that area. What was living around those guys, training with them, competing with them? What was that all like?
Man, it's living there and playing there growing up was like, it's kind of the same as if you were to go to any city in the country and walk to a basketball court and go play pickup, except you have world-class players at the court. You have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving at the courts playing. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy. But there's a high level competition, and I felt pretty lucky to have that. I do give a lot of credit to like Jose Rojas, especially, who was my hitting partner for a long time. When he first went on tour, I used to play with him all the time when I got off work. So it was kind of just lucky. I always say I'm fortunate to have the situation I did. Because I'm pretty sure if I started at 15 and I lived in another city, that I wouldn't be playing racquetball at this level. Like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
To be honest. So
let me ask you a question, and I don't know if you can actually answer it, but in your opinion, who of those guys has or had the highest ceiling?
The highest ceiling?
Yeah.
Probably Jose Rojas. I mean, that's a pretty easy question in my opinion. I want to say me, but I haven't done shit. So
why do you think Jose? Just because? What do you see from him?
He just, he's did a lot of winning in juniors. One, I mean, winning's a skill. I don't care what anybody says. Like, it's not just about how much you practice, how much you train. Like, learning how to win it's something to it, some substance to that. So, and then he's been playing since he could remember. Like, he's stupid good. Power, quick. He wasn't a great athlete out of high school, and he's gonna hate me for saying that. But when I knew Jose at it until like he was like 21, 22, I think, when we started training with Jesse, wasn't like the most phenomenal athlete. Great racquetball player.
Yeah.
But really, really worked hard. Like, dude worked harder than almost anybody I've ever known. And he really got his athleticism up there and won a couple of stops. I don't know how many stops he won, but he won a few.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I mean,
he won a few without being filthy.
I remember seeing him when he was like 7 or 8 years old, playing in like multi-bounce, like junior nationals. And I remember thinking to myself, because I was a kid, I was maybe like 12 or 13, 14 at the time. I remember thinking, I'm like, this kid's going to be the next Sudsy, because that's just kind of who was reigning supreme at that time. I'm like, this is the next. And I thought, like 7, 8 years old, I was like very impressed with him. And I've always thought all you guys had such great games out of there. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think Jose did have the biggest potential.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, it's hard to say too. Like, if he didn't run into Kane, he could have been number one in the world at some point. Yeah. I know there was a couple seasons there where he played Kane like every single tournament for a whole year. Like, it was wild. So, I mean, what are you gonna do in that moment? So I know there's guys right now that are stuck in that position. But that's all what ifs, right?
Let me ask you this question, man. Do you think that Kane has retired folks?
Kane's retired players? Oh, I don't know. That's a really good question. Gosh, I like that.
You can't say with any certainty. I know that. I'm just kind of like speculating here.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure they have. I'm sure someone's like,
he's been a contributing factor to a decision to maybe step away.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, if there's other players like me who I don't know if anybody's seen me after a match. I'm better at now. When I was younger, I would want to break everything. So if you're as competitive as I am, losing, period, makes me want to just stop playing sometimes because I hate it that much. So I can't imagine how it feels to be, God, I don't even want to say any names because it's not right. I don't want to do it. I'll just throw Jose under the bus here. Jose Rojas takes a bunch of beatings, and he's like, man, screw this, man. I can't deal with this anymore. And it could be a factor. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was the factor, but I could see him retiring a few. He makes me want to play more, but that's just me personally. It makes me I just want to beat him one time.
Yeah, he definitely sped up some retirements. We'll put it that way.
100%. Yeah.
And
I don't think anybody got off the court with him and was like, yeah, I'm done.
I once saw Javier Marino get like
I was about to say the same name
in a row, dude. And then he just looks back at the crowd and he lays down in like a swim girl position, like a swim.
That was in Portland like 6 years ago. 6 years ago.
I think so.
Yeah, I remember that. It was because I was there and I just got off my labrum surgery and I came back and I was like, yeah, I'll be okay. And then I had Kane in the 16s and he beat me like 3-0 and 1 or something like that. I'm like, well, welcome back to racquetball. And then he played Javi in the quarters and aced him like 8 times in a row. And Javi would just stand there watching him. But I've also seen that happen in Fullerton as well. I don't know if anybody else was there for that.
I remember Fullerton. That's when I remember. We had Alvaro on just a week ago, and he said, I kind of asked you that question about your area. He kind of said for him and for Mexico, he thought Moreno was the guy that was never really reached his full potential, but that he saw, a high ceiling with.
Yeah, Hobbies was really, really good. Really good.
You play him?
Hobby was my first experience in like, oh, yeah, I'm not as good as I thought I was. Because I had played my first pro stop.
Same.
I was maybe an open player, low open, and I qualified. I beat Rafa Filippini to make the draw. I played Alvaro, and he beat me in 3 straight, no problem. I was like, yeah, I got this. I qualified my first tournament. I can go play. I didn't qualify for like another 15 tournaments. And played like Javier Moreno, like maybe 6 tournaments in, and the dude rolled me like 1-1 and 1. And I looked at him like, oh, I'm not that good. Eye opener for sure. He was bombs.
Yeah.
He did have he was tough. Javi, that forehand was ridiculous.
He would run around his backhand to hit forehands.
Yeah. He had honestly one of the best forehands I've ever seen, really top 10 forehands for sure. And yeah, if he can just serve well and find forehand setups, like he could beat pretty much anybody, And Polo was another guy. I think he was
nightmare.
Yeah, he was right up there. Like I never beat Polo. I beat Javi though, but their game styles, like I hated playing against Polo's game style. He just hit a lot of those like nice little pinches. He was good on both sides. He was good. I mean, he would make he would come out of nowhere and make semifinals. And
like, where is he now?
Polo, I think he had surgery on his elbow, and I think he's just working. He was a pain in my ass too, to be honest. I'm like 3-12 or 3-13. He played WRT, so I played him a lot. And talk about frustrating.
Yeah, Polo.
Still by far the most frustrating person to play that I've ever played. Period. Even more than Kane.
Interesting.
He was interesting. Like Tim, you and I did an interview with Polo. You remember that?
Yep.
And he just had some really good wins. It seemed like he could play somebody, he could figure their game out really quickly.
Yeah.
Like he could maybe lose the first game or something, and then the next 3 he just destroys him because he like figured out what was working. He was like really good at that. That was something, because he wasn't particularly like the fastest or the most fit or anything like that, or the most powerful. He was smart, savvy.
I think one of the things about Polo, it's funny, I think I have some interviews like on WRT talking about this, is that Polo's level was always like this. Like he had moments of like peaking, but he's super, super flat and consistent the whole time. He was never like super, super high or super low. Didn't scream too much. He didn't get emotional. He just kind of just played. And everybody else, everybody has little ebbs and flows, but he was just consistent with what he does. And what he does is kind of weird and crazy with his frying pan grip.
Go ahead, Jeff.
He's a player that, there's not that many of them that would come out of nowhere and, like I said, and like make a semi. And Londa was like that too.
Yeah, he was the other guy like that. Yeah.
Londa would come out and play like 4 tournaments a year, but make like the semis every single time, and would have no ranking, and he'd have to play somebody like Rocky or Jose in the round of 16. He'd have to qualify in, and then he'd make it all that way, and that's with not a lot of experience and not a lot of points. It's not easy to do.
So weird that he didn't play that much until recently. I never could understand it. He was so good. I mean, I'm sure there's a reason. It'd be kind of fun to have an interview with him at some point for you guys and figure out why the hell he wasn't playing earlier. Like how many years could he have been in the top 4?
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sue Sofield. Talk about consistent. God, that guy.
So Bob, I'm curious your thoughts on obviously the national singles for USA has been canceled now. And the Pan Am championships obviously have been canceled. And I think we would have left for that, like, I don't know, in a day or 2 or something. Yeah.
Tomorrow night, I think it was. Yep.
Kind of crazy to think about. Yep. And this is the World Championship year also, and I'm sure there's some people thinking about that one because that's in August. That's like the beginning of August, I think.
Mhm.
That actually seems pretty soon with everything that's been going on, but USA is not going to have a singles qualifier tournament. They're not going to have national singles. How do you? I don't know where you stand on points. I know I'm out of it, so I guess I'm just whatever. I'm kind of sitting there watching, but for players like yourself who are still in the running for this spot, what are the spot on the USA team in singles? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh boy, I think that's not going to be good for me because I think Jake and I are tied, and I think Jake has a higher USA ranking, and that's probably what they're going to use because that's just kind of how they roll, even regardless of what it is. But
They should
I
set
think
up a few matches between the top guys and stream them with like good editing values and stuff. And
And
it's like this,
yeah.
that'd be so much fun.
Yeah, and self-ref.
So no,
none of that. This is
Camera.
real simple here. This is my whole solution to this, and I think I mentioned to Charlie already at some point. Just because we're not going to have full nationals doesn't mean we shouldn't have the qualifier. This is just my opinion. I think we should have a qualifier, and just have the qualifying players fly into somewhere and they'll play a tournament. Bring in one official ref to ref all the matches. It's not a lot of matches. It's not a whole weekend. It's probably be like a Friday, Saturday, maybe a Sunday match, and just knock it out. And I mean, you don't even have to invite. I guess you can't do it invite only. You could only bring people that are mathematically able to make the team.
Right.
And then you have those people play a draw.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah, I mean, even then, I don't even think the top 8 are mathematically in it. Like, I think if someone's in the top 8 and I think 6 through 8, if they win the tournament, they're still not going or some. I can't remember how the points go.
There's always, I mean, technically, they'd still be in it. Also, like, what if somebody fails a drug test or something,
Yeah, true.
So, like, somebody in 6th could win the thing and have enough points for, like, 3rd or 4th. And then who knows what happens after that,
Yeah, it's weird. And that's kind of the situation, like, at this point, like, if you take the points it is now, then someone could be out. And in this case, I think it's Jake and I for 3rd and 4th, and one of us are going to get screwed there, unfortunately. So, and I don't know how they would go about that, and I don't know if there's rules in place for that, but I do think we should have a qualifying tournament anyways. I'll just throw it out there. We can do it in Pleasanton.
That's kind
we
of
have a nice. We have really nice courts. We have a nice hotel. My bed's big enough for 2 people to snuggle in. Just kidding. But yeah, we should have a tournament. I don't understand why. I mean, there's probably reasons for it, but we don't need to have a big extravagant event. We could just have a qualifier only. Have the top people come in and play and call it a weekend and actually have a team qualified for Worlds.
And
I'm assuming
there could be a lot of entertainment value there too, because it's like, all right, fans don't get to come in and watch. There's not a bunch of amateur draws, but if whoever they are, use those resources towards video production and editing, and were able to give the internet some really high quality racquetball content for a few days, I think that'd be awesome.
Well, I think that was kind of my other kind of hinting toward Pleasanton. Is Pablo lives here with me. I work with Pablo, and he does the broadcasting for IRT. So if we had here, we could broadcast as well. So
there you go.
I mean, if we had it somewhere else, I'm sure we could get him or someone to broadcast it and do that as well. But I think we should have a tournament, and that's just kind of my opinion on it. I don't think just because we're not going to have a big 300-person national tournament, I don't think that should nullify the fact that we should have a qualifier. And are we going to? Is there any Pan Am Championships at all? Do we know? It's probably going to get canceled at this point. My guess.
I haven't heard of any rescheduling.
Kind of hard to say, huh?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I don't know. I know I haven't heard of anything being rescheduled yet. But
weird times.
Yeah, it's crazy. So as of now, it's Sudsy and Rocky. No, sorry, Sudsy and Londa doubles, and Rocky and Londa, and then you and Jake tied for 3rd and 4th. Is that right in points?
I think so. I think Jake and I both made the 16s at the Open. So
Okay.
I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. And then
Okay.
we double forfeited the third place match at nationals.
So that should just slide right down to the fifth then. Fifth place, fifth place person.
Please chime in. You're on the.
I think it's me. All right, I'm back in it. Here we go. No, it's not actually. It's definitely not me. So, because typically at the World Championships they take four players for the men's and four for the women, typically. Because they consider it an Operation Gold event, which usually gets the most funding, and so we can afford to take four players, which is nice because then somebody doesn't have to play two events.
Yep.
So what would the team possibly look like? It would be possibly, Londa and Sudsy in doubles, obviously, and then Rocky, and then you and Jake in singles. I mean, what if Londa wants to play?
That's what I
two
was going to
events?
ask too. Like, what happens if Londa says no? With all that situation, I want to play two. I want to play two,
Mm-hmm.
and basically that would put both me and Jake out of it. So in that case, then if they're only going to take three and Londa decides to play two, then I don't think it matters. No, you still have to have the tournament because me and Jake still could pass Rocky if we win the whole thing. So.
I mean, I know what your thoughts would be, but as a coach, if you're looking at that situation, what do you say? I mean, it's hard for you to say, but I look at it as, yeah.
I've seen Londa double gold at an international tournament, so if I'm coach of the U.S. team, I might consider it. Unfortunately, that's hard for me to say because I'm like, man, well, and in this case too, though, again, if we have this tournament and I draw Londa and I beat him, he's no longer double qualified for singles. Mm-hmm. So that's where missing a tournament kind of just could put, me, Jake, or whoever's in. I don't even know who's in fifth. Is it you? Whoever's in fifth, sixth doesn't have a chance at all either. So I don't know. It's unfortunate times for this to happen, but it is what it is. Can't really control that too much, and I don't really think about it too much. I haven't even thought about it. The only time I ever thought about it is when I talked with you about it maybe a week and a half ago about the Pan Ams, and then now. So doesn't even cross my mind. More worried about just being able to play racquetball when we start playing again, being healthy. Mm-hmm. I'm so tired of playing hurt. It's unbelievable. So
more yoga.
Yeah, I've been a lot of stretching.
More yoga and vegetables.
I'm gonna get a carrot right now. I gotta.
Bobby brought his carrots to the interview.
I brought my carrots because Charlie Pratt's here.
Good job,
not
dude.
Eating because they're a little crunchy on it.
Yeah, probably not the best for audio. So, Bobby, when you think of your career so far, are there any defining wins or matches or tournaments that come to your mind?
I mean, as far as tournaments go, I won nationals a couple of years ago. That was pretty cool, and I did it at home. So that's probably my favorite tournament win. I had a couple WRTs that I really enjoyed winning just because anytime you win any event with pros there, it's just nice. And that's kind of why nationals is fun to win as well, because you're not just playing against people from the U.S., you're playing against a bunch of other pros. So besides that, I mean, making the team, well, I've played on the team for the last since 14. Every year I played, and that's kind of, for me, that's a pretty cool accomplishment. Playing pros, great. Getting some big matches, making some finals with some nice pros is great, but playing for the team got some extra value to it. You can ask Pratt. Pratt made the last 3 years of his life dedicated to playing for the U.S. team, so it's just different, and you get to wear your colors on the sleeve.
Yeah, is there a particular story of a match that just you love telling or that appeals to you?
I have a really cool one from my first time on the team, actually, and I don't know if many people have heard this one, but I was playing a name that everybody knows now is Conrado Moscoso. I was playing him in the round of 16s of the Pan Am Championships in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, the same course we were supposed to go to. And we had finished the first game. I beat him 15-14 first game. And the only reason I beat him is he was up 14-13 on me. or it was 13-13. He scored 14 and then waved his, tried to come shake my hand at 14. And I look at him and I was like, mistake. Ended up beating him 15. I play a little bit of mind games here and there. Probably not necessary, but I ended up beating him 15-14. Go back in the court, and I think it was 7-3 me. And I go to hit a backhand. I serve lob right, Alvaro serve. He goes Rocky cross court, because this is going to translate perfect for everybody. I go, it comes to the back middle of the court where the door is. I go take a full backhand. As I'm swinging, my right shoulder blade hits the door. The whole door comes down on me, breaks all over me. So the glass just shatters all over my back. I go walking forward, lay on the ground, and a bunch of medics come in. They're trying to like pull glass out of my back and my neck, and then they bring like iodine wipes and they're trying to rub it in. And Brent Huff is our trainer. He walks over like, everybody just get away. So they pull me off the court. Brent pulls me off the court. They make me go take a shower. Mind you not, this club was just built, no hot water. So I have to get completely undressed, hop in this freezing cold shower. I mean freezing, pull into the garage freezing. So, and then after I come back, Brent wraps me up in a bunch of like pre-wrap, and I kind of look like a mummy. I have it all over my left arm, my neck's wrapped. We get put back onto the stadium court, and I had so much adrenaline in my body. I went back in, and I think he scored one more point, and I won in like 5 minutes. It was
wow.
kind of a cool moment.
The ultimate mind game, dude. You're committed.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because like even I talk to people now, it's like, and I talked to Moscoso about it last time I saw him. I was like, do you remember when I flew through the glass? He's like, yeah. He's like, and then you went back on the court and you didn't miss a single shot. He skipped one ball. I just, boom. And even both of us remember that. Well, him and I will always have that memory together, even though he was on the bad side of that. It was kind of just a fun, cool moment that's not really related to winning or losing. It's just kind of, I flew through the glass and I came back and somehow played.
That's really cool, man. That kind of makes me wonder, like, as a player, right, and other players out there listening, what kind of attitude do you bring to the court, or what kind of attitude do you recommend people having? Like, I guess there's been an interesting conversation lately, like the difference or the thin line between good sportsmanship and being a fierce competitor. Where do you draw those lines?
I just want to say one thing. This is the second interview in a row that someone has talked about like a door breaking on them. We interviewed Alvaro last week, and
oh yeah, and he broke it at Pan Am, huh?
At the Pan Ams. Yep, he dove into it.
Yeah.
That has to become a question to all guests. Like, what was your favorite story of when you broke glass on a court?
Kobe Iwata broke at the same tournament, and he cut his whole leg open. He had to go get stitches.
Ooh.
At the same tournament I was at. Yeah, he did it like right after I did, or right before, like within the same 30 minutes. It was a door malfunction, I guess.
We'll make sure to interview him next.
Yeah.
Kobe.
Investigative reporting. There's some faulty, things going on here.
They had their doors in, but they had like a door hinge coming here, and it was just one point of contact. So when we hit it, that one point of contact just busted the whole door down. It was kind of weird. It's like when a spark plug hits a glass window.
I don't think I would survive a door falling on me.
Charlie, you're not heavy enough to break a door.
They wouldn't be able to find me. So anyway, sorry, Priggs.
Oh, no. I wanted to get your take on, because Alvaro was saying that he plays his best racquetball when he's relaxed and he's having a good time, but he doesn't think that makes him any less of a competitor. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. How do you like to carry yourself mentally when you enter?
I think it just depends on the person, really. For me personally, like, I'm pretty happy-go-lucky all the time, but I'm super, super competitive. And I'm in my best moments when I have like a little bit of like controlled anger and almost like playing like I have a chip on my shoulder. So, but with that comes with with some what's the word I can say for it? With some scrutiny.
It's like Lord of the
Rings.
Other
people.
It's like the ring. There's power in it, but you clutch it too tightly, and it makes you into a little beast. A little troll.
Yeah. It's when I let myself get into that moment, people don't really care what they call me.
couldn't help it. Sorry. Man.
Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, that was great.
The wild card's at it again.
Do you think that there's where do you draw
my
the line
precious
sportsman? Yeah, exactly. Now it's like, when do you think that, like, do you when you as a spectator, you're obviously gonna love an intense match where it's a little chippy. Am I right about that?
Oh no, I wouldn't say so. Not anymore so much. I mean, God, one player, like I've seen one player like say one thing and all. I'm not calling out anybody, but fans just get a little too defensive about it. It's like there is a little more sensitive. That's sports in general now, even in NBA, NFL. Like guys say stuff or do stuff or make a gesture to the crowd, and social media blows it up. So that's kind of the era we're in. But I think the line is, especially between player and player, as long as you're not being disrespectful, then it shouldn't be an issue. Like, and really, it's when you cross the line as a player. Fans, however, think that players cross the line more than they actually do. So I've had people come walk to me like, "Why did so and so do this to you?" Well, why did so? I'm like, I didn't even notice that sometimes. There's things that they do and I don't even notice. Like, well, why was he doing this? I don't know why he was yelling.
Yeah.
He wasn't yelling at me. He's like, it looked like he was yelling. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So I think there's a little bit of overreaction, but at the same time, like, when someone's doing something wrong. So
yeah, that's a great point. I think it's hard to define because it just matters who you're playing. The context matters a lot. Like there are certain players that like, I think they're really honest players and I would feel horrible taking a call against them. There are other players that I think they cheat all the time or they take calls all the time. It's not necessarily cheating, but I would feel totally fine taking a call against that person. So it varies to me.
Calls are weird. I mean, in the end, there's a ref. Just play with the ref calls, unless it's blatant obvious, and then just call it on yourself and walk away. I mean, if you're trying to sell an obvious skip, then yeah, that's the line. It's bad. So I don't know. I have a reputation to cheat, I guess now. So I can't talk. I mean, if you ask 100% of the players, 80% of them say I cheat. So and something that I did do when I was younger, and it sticks with you. I remember I sat down with the juniors one time. Pratt was there, and we were talking about sportsmanship and not taking calls, and one of the kids said something like about, I remember this. What did they ask? Oh, what if it's like a big moment? I'm like, trust me, you don't want to take one call because that one call will stick with you for the rest of your career. I'm still trying to get rid of that reputation myself, and I don't cheat nearly. I like to say I don't cheat at all because I don't anymore blatantly, but I still get accused of it 10 years after my worst moment, or 8 years after my worst moments. And I was bad when I was young, like really bad. Maybe one of the worst.
I don't think you cheat any more than anyone else, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Those other guys, dude.
Like you're not like the worst one out there. Yeah, no, just kidding. I mean, it's not blatant and stuff. Like we take calls when it's like close or, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna. I mean, but you're not like. There's a difference between fist pumping after a skip.
Yeah.
And like taking like something where the ref calls a replay or an avoidable that's a close one, and maybe it's the wrong call, but you're not gonna like necessarily overturn it. Or if it like bounces twice and it bounced twice, stuff like that, like not taking that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's just one of those things like you just play with the ref calls unless it's blatant. And whatever the other person thinks you or whatever someone else thinks, they're gonna think that anyways.
And not trying to like
whether it's right or wrong.
Like selling a call to the ref is starting to get a little too far, in my opinion. It's like trying to sell something that wasn't good or
those ideas. What?
Totally, dude. I mean, it's out there. There's a lot of players. I think that's when it starts looking bad, though. And we go back to like the trash talking and stuff like that. And I don't mind that. Like you said, if it doesn't get disrespectful, racquetball is an interesting sport being one-on-one though. Like, and you look at other one-on-one sports, you don't really see a lot of trash talking. Like you don't see it in tennis.
Nope.
I don't know. I mean, wrestling, not really either. I don't know, you know, other one-on-one sports, I'm not really sure. Ping pong,
It's
golf.
interesting. Like our sport's unique in the sense that we're on the same side of the net, I guess you could say. And it's a little more like, it just feels a little more like I'm playing basketball, not tennis, if that makes sense. Like for me personally, but I also grew up playing basketball. So, and I grew up talking trash. So I talk a lot when I play, indirectly and directly sometimes, depending on if someone engages me. And I get a lot of flack for it too. But I mean, just that basketball kind of competitiveness coming out. So if someone says something to me, it's coming back fivefold, regardless if you like it or if everybody else likes it. It is what it is. I don't mind having a little chat.
See, I'm not like that at all. I can appreciate it though, if that's something, if you like doing it. But I don't get into the, I'm not a good trash talker, you know? Like I can, whatever, I'll usually just like smile and brush it off, maybe say one thing, but I'm usually not running my mouth in the court. I don't have.
You're St. Charlie.
Enough to say, you know.
Doesn't know how to be mean.
This is my favorite one, playing Charlie in LA. I go, Charlie, was that a good shot? And he kind of looks at me, he goes, good enough. And that was his trash talk for the whole match. And it actually bothered me a little bit. That was his only answer. The only thing he said to me the whole match.
Whose
good
shot?
Enough.
Mine or yours?
Yeah, you hit a shot that I thought might have skipped, and I was like, is that good, Charlie? And you're like, good enough. And it bothered me the rest of the match. The rest of the match.
All right, where were we?
I don't know. I'm
so Bobby,
disoriented.
tell us your life story again.
We're talking about trash talk.
Yeah, give us who are some good trash talkers on tour, if any? Who are some good up and coming trash talkers? Yeah.
Who has the highest ceiling of trash talking?
Yeah.
Honestly, there's not a lot of good trash talkers anymore, because a lot of them don't even speak English when we're playing. So if there's no trash talk, and Central and South Americans don't talk trash when they play, they just play. So that whole era of talking trash, like a lot of the old Americans do, and if you even talk to like some of the old guys that used to play, I have conversations with guys that played back in Sudsy and Cliff's era, and even before then, they all talked a lot of trash, like a lot.
Wow. I wonder why.
It's the same thing in NBA. I mean, NBA now, basketball's a special sport in the sense that everybody talks trash, and you grew up with the park talking trash, so that kind of comes naturally for someone that's played basketball, or if you're playing basketball. But in racquetball, I don't know. I mean, tennis is the same thing, but tennis put the clamp on it. They said no more talking to each other, no more cursing, no more acting out after a McEnroe, right? So
yeah, I feel like
I don't know.
Squash doesn't really have the trash talk too much. I play squash as well, some tournaments and stuff, and it's not really. It's more like tennis, I would say. I don't know if it was ever a trash talking sport, but I just wonder, like, you know, what does squash? Yeah, I haven't seen
it's a gentleman's sport.
I guess so. At least it's considered that here in the U.S.
Well, that's how they market it.
Yeah.
In Europe too, it's just a gentleman's sport, so they're just not allowed to do that. And tennis is the same reason, I believe.
Yeah.
McEnroe is a unique individual in that, right? But we're seeing a little bit with Kriegel. And you guys watch tennis. He likes to talk a lot, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you're gonna get players here and there, just like McEnroe, and it's an era thing too. I mean, if you look like back when, Sudsy, Cliff, Jason, you know, those guys, I don't know, New Yorkers, and Cliff from Boston. Cliff didn't really talk trash though. He's kind of stayed in his. And I don't know, Ellie,
Nino did, though.
I guess. Yeah, it's just different generation, really. Definitely different players. You're right. I mean, the players from Central and South America, they're not really into that stuff.
They hate it.
I mean, if you look at like the best players of really in a lot of sports, they're not considered. They weren't trash talkers. McEnroe was an exception. He wasn't really even a trash talker, I don't think. I mean, maybe he was. He just had his moments of, like, he just got mad at the ref. Or,
I think that's a misconception, too, about racquetball. Is like, everybody thinks trash talking directly to, like, if I'm playing Pratt, I'm saying something directly to him. It's sometimes just self-talking yourself, and that's considered trash talk, even though you're self-talking to yourself or
Do you
saying
think
something out loud to the ref.
Do you think it's entertaining for the spectator? I mean, obviously, being the best competitor you can be and to give the spectators a really high level match is something that every pro should aim for, probably primarily. But what role, when you approach kind of your career even, and you're like, all right, basically, I'm an athlete, which is kind of an entertainer in essence, right?
For sure.
How important is it for you to be entertaining in order for you to be successful in your career, you think?
Entertaining to be successful in your career as far as winning and losing?
No, not even necessarily winning or losing, but like if you're entertaining, if you have matches that people like, whether that be just because you're so great at racquetball, or maybe you're like, one person I would say was Ben Croft. A lot of people loved him or hate him. It seems like a lot of people had interest in his matches because you knew it was going to be quote unquote entertaining.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
would say the same thing for like a Javi Moreno on the opposite end. Very nice guy, but he used more humor. What significance do you think the entertainment value has?
I mean, as far as being a popular player, it's huge. I mean, there's different kinds of entertainment too. Like I'm entertained by watching Kane play, and he barely says anything ever. He just goes in and it works. And then you have in this case right now, it's a guy like me who's a little more vocal, and I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that entertaining at all, but from what people tell me, it's really fun to watch me play. And I'm pretty outgoing, kind of like Croft was, little less angry than Croft. But I mean, it's similar. I mean, it's huge. And Croft is still ridiculously popular, and everybody loves watching that. I love watching that guy play. He's amazing to watch. He's flying all over the place, and his screaming, yelling, I think is pretty fun to watch, as long as he keeps it reasonable. And
guys like
it's entertaining. Ooh, there are guys right now that are entertaining. There's a lot of guys that are entertaining to watch play. I think racquetball has gone more in that tennis kind of atmosphere as far as temperament goes and stuff. We're a little more laid back. I think there's only a few that aren't like that, including myself, who, again, I don't think I'll ever completely shut my mouth, even though it'd probably help me win some more matches. But I think we're all heading towards that direction where it's going to be nobody's talking, nobody's saying anything, and I think it's still entertaining to watch. I kind of like a little bit of chatter. But again, playing basketball, I kind of grew up chatting it up with whoever I'm across the ball to. So you said players coming up right now that are really entertaining. Oh man, I mean, I think Moscoso is ridiculously entertaining just because he's playing racquetball in the box the whole time and cutting things off laterally. It's kind of impressive. Kane, obviously. Priya's probably one of the most unique players on tour right now, just because of his awkwardness, but he's pretty fun to watch. Court coverage and shot selection, does everything really, really well. I think a bunch of Bolivians that are good. Carlos Keller is probably one of the most fun people to watch play racquetball, period.
Why?
Doesn't say a word, because he will fall down onto his knees. The ball will bounce next to him. He'll let it go off the back wall and then still flop for the ball and then roll out on someone's face. If you ever see him play, he falls more than he actually steps over and hits stuff. It's pretty entertaining. Charlie, you've seen it, right?
Yeah, he's gangly out there. He's.
Have you ever been to like a used car dealership where you have the inflatable guy? I mean, kind of just his arms are kind of going up and down and flopping all over the place. That's how Carlos Keller plays racquetball, and it's amazing to watch. So obviously he's won a couple of Pan Am championships, so he's good at it too. It's not like he's just doing it. He's not a hack. He's unbelievably good at racquetball. So.
And Carlos, we've seen Carlos on tour now this year. This is the first time he's gone basically full time on tour, which I think is pretty cool. We're getting to see. He was sort of that player who really only played international stuff, and he did well. He played in the Pan Am Championships, and I don't know about the Pan Am Games 2 years ago. Or 2 times ago, 5 years ago now.
In Toronto.
Yeah, in Toronto. I'm not sure if he played for them. I assume he did. But either way, it was all international stuff. And he would make an appearance at the U.S. Open also, I think, every year. But that was it. And
I don't think he's had much success on tour, right?
he hasn't. He hasn't. I've been
success.
a little disappointed. I'm sorry to say that, Carlos. But, it's just been nothing, no big wins yet, But I guess it's not.
Solid 16s.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, maybe he's beaten some players, but nothing. No quarterfinals or semis or anything like that. And it's definitely
weird.
a different world. It's a different world doing the IRT tour stuff than it is the international stuff, which happens twice a year basically, and that's and then you have maybe your nationals in your country. And that's another one or two. So if you really only have like 4 tournaments a year, you can really focus on each one and train for it. Whereas the IRT, you have a tournament every other weekend. And,
and
and
for him, that travel is no joke.
Yeah,
no
traveling,
joke.
coming back, trying to work on
Bolivia.
things. Yeah. Oh, for him. Yeah. Yes.
From Santa Cruz, like he's spending, if he plays 10 stops, he's spending 25, 30 days traveling total.
That's crazy.
And try to play racquetball after a 30-hour trip up to the States.
Yeah, it's like if you played 12 tournaments and they were all in like South America.
That sounds awful. I mean,
Yeah.
Playing in South America sounds great, but just traveling back and forth, I don't know how someone would do it. I know like the all the Bolivian girls and all do that, and Argentinian girls, they all fly up and play every pro stop and back and forth.
The tours will migrate south, or do you think the organization and the money is so firmly here in the U.S. that it won't change?
Now we're getting to the juicy stuff here.
It's trending that way. There's no reason to believe that the pro tours wouldn't also trend that way.
I've been saying that I think that we will have very, very little USA racquetball players on tour in 5 years. I think a lot of the guys are not going to be able to sustain, and the only people that'll play events here and there are the people that really like to play. I don't know. A lot of the young kids are really smart and going to go to college, and I know a lot of the kids that I talk to now that are on the junior team and stuff. It'll be interesting to see if they go play pros or if they decide to do a college route. And then a lot of the other USGA guys are getting older or just not going to be able to sustain. So I think we're going to migrate towards more of a Latin American dominated tour. And I think in result, we will eventually be migrating down south. Hopefully not, but kind of just my gut feeling. And I hope that, I can help kind of fight that off as long as possible, or help maybe change it. You never know. Always said that. Go ahead.
On that topic, though, you mentioned that you were in Bolivia when that door broke on you. And I've traveled to a few places, Costa Rica, Colombia, Peru now, but never been to Bolivia for a tournament. And I know you've been to a couple and more, I'm curious. I know I've talked to a lot of people about the tournament, but that American Iris tournament that happened last year in May, or I think it was May. So
April. Something like that. April, May. Yeah.
Yeah. It's maybe 11 months ago or something. And I had never seen anything like that in all my years of being around racquetball. I'd never really seen like a tournament with that many people there. It was really crazy. And I know you were there. I didn't go, but what was that like?
Well, that's the second time I played in Bolivia. One time in Santa Cruz for the tournament that we were going to go to, and then there. And both of them are it's the craziest experience ever, because people there like racquetball like they do like soccer. It's kind of insane.
Do you think I'm staying there?
So that first year, the Pan Am Championships that you're talking about, that was equally as crazy as. Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. So that court, that facility was set up a little different in the sense that you walk in right to a fishbowl. So you don't have to walk through the whole back you can go to Cochabamba. But in Santa Cruz, you walk into the door, and then straight to your left, there is like cement bleachers all the way around the whole fishbowl. They have metal bleachers on the right side of the court, and those were completely full from quarters on, and especially for doubles at night. And then standing room all the way to the entrance. I remember Jose, and I played with Jose Rojas that tournament, and him and I were the only two to go to that tournament. We both played took double duty. And I remember after every match, it would take us an hour to get out of the club because people would stop us, take pictures, sign autographs. It was pretty, at this time, I had no idea what I got myself into. I was like, it was nerve-wracking for me personally. Good thing I had Jose there because Jose was seasoned already. And then,
how did you two do in that tournament?
I lost to Polo in the quarters of singles, and Jose won the whole thing. And then we lost to De La Rosa and Edson in the finals of doubles. So not bad. And then the same thing at Cochabamba. It was unreal from like the quarters on, packed. I think Jake and I played Moscoso and Keller in the quarters, and the entire stands were full. It's wild, man. It's a different experience for sure. It's like the U.S. Open, but not the U.S. Open, if that makes sense. Like the U.S. Open's very like set up as an event, and people pay for tickets, and there's like you have the gold booth down below. Will just take all the bleachers behind the U.S. Open, fill all three sides up or two full sides up in Cochabamba, I guess, and bring them all the way down to court level, and then that's it. There's no gold booth, just straight up.
Future director of the U.S. Open is listening, because that needs to happen here. Get rid of the booths. It's like the bleachers are way too far back.
I think Doug has the way he wants to do it, and his tournament. So, but I agree. I think they should definitely come down, or at least have the back part of the bleachers come all the way down to the court, and then have some booths out to the side of the court. Fine. And have some, but he has only one basketball court to work with, and these facilities have already built-in stadiums. Like they have a full stadium built in there. So, and Doug's run a successful tournament. He's one of the only people to ever sell racquetball. Period. So he can do whatever the hell he wants if we keep having a tournament, in my opinion. So, but I agree. I think having the crowd right on top of the court is kind of cool. NBA. I love comparing it to NBA because to me it's NBA and hockey. Hockey's the other one that I recently went to that's super entertaining. But the fact that the fans are right up on the glass in hockey, like to me, like racquetball,
perfect for it.
Imagine fans right up on the glass, like and you watch hockey and they're banging on the glass and rooting for the team. Like what if fans could do that in racquetball? How cool
for
would that
me,
be?
at least, like the U.S. Open's great or whatever, but it doesn't even match the vibe of like some of those old tournaments down in San Diego where it wasn't a lot of viewing, but it's completely packed behind the back glass and all along the top, people just hanging over the sides. You feel like the crowd is vibing with you. There's the energy is there. You know what I mean?
For sure. And the Open has the energy too. Just imagine if they weren't however far back I don't know how far back those bleachers are. What, maybe 50 feet or so? About 50 feet? Maybe more. Maybe more. But if you bring those people right up on the court, I don't know. What do you think, Charles?
I like that idea. I mean, just bringing it all in closer and just a little bit. Yeah. It would be cool having, it be a little more bleachers instead of booths. I mean, I'm sure there's good reasons for having the booths.
And this isn't
100%.
On the U.S. Open necessarily. It's just for any tournament, right? If you're making a tournament, it's like, think about these things because atmosphere, one thing is it's difficult running a racquetball tournament. I know, Bobby, you've helped out with, some racquetball tournaments. Me and Charlie and Dylan, we've all done work for tournaments up here. It's like, it's tough. And what often gets left by the wayside is the tournament directors thinking about the vibe and the fans and like, how do you build excitement? It's like, because there's so much that goes into it, usually those questions are not ever, you can never really even get to them.
And the greatest, most entertaining tournament out there is the Oregon Racquetball State Championships. And we all know this, though. We all know that.
Yeah, we'll have good vibe there.
I've heard the most fun tournament to go to is the Lou, but I've never been.
the Lou Bradley in Wisconsin is definitely a good one. They bring the party there for sure. The keg is going. Yeah.
Crowd banging on the glass.
Yeah, and they are right on time. I mean, they're right there on the glass. Like, it's an interesting setup. They've got like half, like the lower half is the bar, which has glass there, and then the upper half is the bleachers, and everyone's drinking from the keg up there. So it's just combination of those two.
The court
mixture.
Thunderdome, man. It should be like an indoor Thunderdome where people are banging on the glass, and it's just intense as the game, as the sport itself.
They're doing it there. The
How
let's
cool
talk.
would it be to get that? Go ahead.
No, it sounds like whatever you're going to say was going to be better.
Yeah. Wait.
It's my little brain is going through some crazy situations here. Get the stadium court. We're going to put it at a big tournament. We're going to put the bleachers right up on the glass, and people are allowed to bang on the glass during the matches.
Wow.
Full hockey mode. Not during the rally, of course, Pratt.
Of course.
And this is coming from a man who's broken glass.
Joey's sweating with all these infractions that are going to happen. He's like, this could be illegal in many, many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
my crazy idea.
So what are some of the best tournaments then that you have been to, Bobby?
The best tournaments.
Like you're the most fun ones, you haven't been to Lou, and you talked a little bit about Bolivia being cool.
Yeah, the Costa Rica Open is probably my favorite tournament, period, that I go to. It's just so relaxing. It's at a country club. It's nice. It's Costa Rica. If you haven't been, go. It's worth it. So that's probably like number one on my list. Just they take care of you well there. It's fun. Good event. And then the event that I've been going to is Pueblo, and that event's a lot of fun. Charlie, you played that tournament before.
Yeah, but I mean, a long time ago, before it was even a tier.
A pro stop,
anything, yeah.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun. I really enjoy going there. I go there every year now.
League night there before it was even a thing.
Yeah. What else have I played? I'm trying to think of some other tournaments. They're not coming to me very fast right now. I really like playing national doubles at ASU. As long as, the scheduling, the matches are right and the people are there into it. Won't get in too much into the scheduling, but as long as the matches are at the right times, people are there and they're having a lot of fun, cheering, and stands are packed. So that's up there on my list.
That's what I was saying, man. It's like sometimes the tournament director is just so happy that they got the matches to fit in that it's like, all right, well, it's not at prime time, but they're kind of like, all right, well, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I totally relate to the struggle of a tournament director, but I do think as a sport, we seriously need to address the entertainment factor to our events.
Yeah, I think it's always on the mind. I just think can't make everyone happy, unfortunately.
For sure.
I know we run into that with pro matches a lot. So many matches and only so many courts, and as you know, the tournament director is tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other tournament is I just had it in my head.
Portland.
Portland. Yeah, Portland was one of them. That was one. Yeah, Portland's probably actually like right there. It's probably like my second favorite tournament. Probably between Costa Rica, Portland, and Pueblo actually is right up there in my top three. Really, really enjoy those a lot.
I always enjoyed the Florida tournament. Wherever
Tampa one.
What's that?
The Tampa one.
The Tampa one, yep, at the Harbor Island Athletic Club.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah. All of them really, though. I mean, just Florida in general.
Yeah, super nice.
Like, you couldn't beat it, really. I think it was in April. And
here's one that's super obvious for all of us, but especially me, but we don't have any more there. Stockton.
Yeah.
We've all been to the Stockton Pro-Am at some point?
Fun. Dude, you guys throw the party with the tacos and the DJ.
Yep.
That was great.
Yeah, we need to have one of those again.
Tim and I road trip down to that tournament.
I do. I remember that.
That was fun.
I remember that.
Yep.
that was a fun tournament. that was actually a big reason why I started playing racquetball, because I had watched Cliff and Alvaro play each other, and I sat there like this. I was like, oh, because I always thought like Jose and them were good, and then they roll in. And I watched Menino was my favorite player. Menino and Alvaro my favorite players for the first like 5 years of my racquetball history. Period. Wasn't even close. So kind of shows you why I have my game like it is. Dive everywhere and don't hit the ball very hard. Anyway, Stockton tournament's one of them.
Bobby, do you have any off the court memories that come to mind for you? Maybe your favorite off the court racquetball story?
Favorite off the court racquetball story. I have a lot of stories, so it's gonna be yeah, I have a good one here, and it's more like a good racquetball story for like a week and a half with a vegan racquetball player on the USA team.
I wonder who that could be.
Mr. Charles Pratt and I.
There's so many of them.
We'll just say Worlds, where we vlogged the entire trip at Worlds. That was probably one of the funniest and coolest like racquetball tournament experiences I've had ever, just because me and Charlie basically sat around all day, ate, slept, and played, and recorded everything we did. If you haven't seen that vlog, it's actually up on YouTube, and you can watch Charles act like a fool. It's actually. Do we put up a vlog on your birthday? Is that what it was?
It was. Yeah. So Bobby decided he wanted to like document as much of the world championships as possible. So he was videotaping constantly and having people videotape for him. And I was rooming with him, so I was in like most of the videos, and it ended up being just, goofy stuff.
Here's the best part about the whole story. I've never heard so many flatulence in my entire life. Like we have video proof on that, but it's pretty impressive.
Well,
pretty impressive. So,
you got to let off some steam sometimes in a tournament, and that was fun. International tournaments are definitely fun because they're 10 days long. It's a 10-day. You get there 3 days early to practice. And then your tournament is a week long, and the first few days are round robin, so it doesn't even matter. I mean, it matters how you do. You don't want to lose those ones, but you're in for like a long trip. Where the IRT tournaments maybe a 4 or 5 day trip sometimes, but this one's easily double that. So it's like, those are fun. I love those ones.
Yeah, that's up there for one of the better moments.
You're rooming with your teammate too, instead of like if you're rooming at an IRT event, you might be rooming with somebody that you're going to be competing against. Mm-hmm. So it's a little different vibe too. Although there are chances that you'll compete as, even in singles, like we very easily could have. But
that would be a good situation for us. So
yeah, unless we both lost in the round robin or something, then we had to play each other early. That would have not been good. But we generally did pretty well and
handle business.
That's right. We would watch the movie 300
every morning,
every day before going into battle.
Wow.
Club.
That's a lot of men, you guys.
Yeah.
But come on.
Hey, it got us pumped up, man. We got the job done.
I guess the best part of that story are a lot of parts from Pratt.
Yeah.
And the common question every time we got back to the hotel, and I'm going to ask him the same question right now. Charlie, have you showered today? Nope.
I had no idea I'd be this embarrassed for this podcast. I should have known.
Oh, you already knew. Once I got on here, it was going to be a little different.
Okay. And have you eaten, Charlie? Those are usually the...
Yeah.
It's more like I'm force-feeding Pratt food to make sure he eats more than beans and rice.
Life on the road is hard as a vegan, I gotta say. When you go to other countries too, it can be hard, especially when you're trying to order in Spanish and they just don't. It's my Spanish is not that great.
God, that's great when Charlie's like, "Can I get double beans?" And I still only bring him one beans.
Oh man, I was livid.
Double beans, please.
I think I asked
So-
for like triple beans the next time just to see like if they would actually bring me enough, you know, and it just
True story.
it was never enough. It was like hard to find enough food to eat. It was just crazy.
The constant
get-
farting is making a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Triple
Can I get
beans, no wonder, dude.
Triple black beans,
Triple
rice,
beans.
triple beans, some rice.
Yeah.
And, I'll take 3 orders of plantains too.
Oh man, those tostones. What are those
Yeah,
things
we ate a lot of
called?
food.
The plantains that are. Oh man, that was
Yeah.
nice. That was the best part about Colombia for sure.
Yeah, good
Well,
off
we
court
can-
for you.
We can edit all this out, right, Dylan?
No, actually, this part there's no way to edit out, unfortunately. So
Not with
it has to stay.
I
Great.
love it. Don't worry, Charlie. It's no more embarrassing than anything else you've had to deal with in your life.